Welcome to the Bite-Size Brilliance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. April Darley, and this episode was inspired by a very bad day. So at the time of this recording, about 2 nights ago, I didn't sleep very well, and I woke up the next day, and my mind was just not okay. Now, if you're familiar with the values advantage or the values episode I did recently, then you'll know that optimism is my number one core value. And because of the work I do, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox. So when my mind goes to this yucky place, I can pretty much turn it around quickly. But on this occasion, I was stuck. My mind was doing this rumination, this focus on what's the point? Does it all matter anyway? There's nothing I can do to fix this. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm self-aware enough that I need to catch this, that I wanted to switch this. So I'm going to talk to you about how I bailed myself out of a bad day. And hopefully this will help you or someone you know as well. Now, full disclaimer, I am a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. So I may recommend some things in this program that if you try it yourself, talk to your doctor first. Do your own research. Use your discernment. I'm just discussing my own experience, and what worked for me may or may not work for you. So, full disclaimer there. When I first noticed that I was having trouble shifting these thoughts, that I was just sort of apathetic. And by apathetic, it was that feeling of, what does it all matter? What are we even here for? What am I doing? I can try really hard and things don't work. I could try to do nothing and things don't work. So what's the point? I mean, literally, my mind was just in this frozen, stuck place. Consequently, I felt this energetic buzzing under my skin. So I don't know what was going on that day, whether it was something in the astrology or we had solar flares. The Schumann resonance was bizarre, but something was just off. One of the first things I did was I attempted to do a little bit of grounding because I knew that my energetics were just off. So there are a lot of different ways that you can ground. You can go walk barefoot outside on the grass. Some people have a grounding mat that you can lay on. If you love crystals, which is what I grabbed a grounding crystal. Onyx is the one I use, but some of my favorites are black tourmaline, smoky quartz. You can use obsidian, just something that is very earthy. If you love food, if you're a food connoisseur or a chef, eating root vegetables or things like carrots that you actually had to dig out of the ground can be very grounding and soothing to your spirit. And I will say that's what it felt like to me, is that my spirit was disturbed. And that's easy to do if you're an empath, or we have a lot of shenanigans going on in the world right now. It feels very up and down with politics and the economy and our sense of identity and selves. All of this is in flux. We're changing. And if you're a sensitive person, then you're going to be picking up on these waves a little bit more intensely, or even before other people notice. That's what sensitivity is. It's a superpower. You are just tuned in to the differences. And if you are self-aware enough, you can tune in and try to fine tune what needs to be rebalanced, that mind, body, or spirit. I did grab an onyx necklace, and that was the first thing I did. So I'm wearing that, and that helped with that buzzing electric feeling, that super restless feeling that I had. That helped after about 1 to 2 hours. But then the apathy started being a little bit more prominent. The what am I here? What am I doing? Is this going to work? What's going to happen in the future? What's happening now? What's the point? All of those things. I use flower essence therapy, and if you're not familiar with that, it is an energetic form of therapy. So disclaimer on this too, this episode is going to be a little bit on the woo-woo spectrum. And I do normally let people know, hey, my practice is a little bit woo, a little bit psychology, and a little bit neuroscience. And we blend that together And that is the magic that is me in my practice. So, we're going to be talking about a little bit more woo today. And because I love to help people ground, cleanse, and shield their energy, because energetics are important. You can look at Einstein, Tesla, they were talking about the same thing. Quantum is a buzzword right now. And I have a book over on Amazon I wrote several years ago, and I can drop the link in the show notes. You can search it under my name, Dr. April Darley, but the book is called Empath Armor: How to Ground, Cleanse, and Protect Your Energy as a Sensitive Person. Because if you are a sensitive, highly sensitive person, an empath, you're going to be feeling some stuff and you may not understand where that comes from. And there's some strategies that you can use, which I've outlined in that book, that can help you restabilize. Now, I will say the book is very because my clients kept asking me over and over, I know I'm an empath, I just don't know what to do about it, and I want to feel better. So I really hit it hard with that strategy. I think there's only 2 paragraphs in the beginning of what is an empath, and then I immediately dove into strategies to feel better and to restabilize. So if that is of interest to you, over on Amazon, you can pick that up. It's on Kindle, or you can get it for a physical book, print on demand for that as well. So the second thing I did was flower essence therapy. You can look that up, Bach flower essence therapy. This is an energetic form of medicine, which helps you stabilize your energetic frequency. And the one I used was wild rose for apathy. Apathy is that state of bleh. Everything is just not working. It's really gross. What am I doing? What's the point? And it's this little bit of a depressive state. That's what I went after next. So I'll put those drops in my water. And I will say the drops do come preserved in alcohol. So if you have issues with alcohol, they do sell an alternative version that is glycerin, and that's safe for children or those that cannot tolerate alcohol for whatever reason. And I put that in my water bottle and let that work for a couple of hours. But things were still not quite balanced. So I meditated. Third thing is I use Solfeggio frequencies. I did a little intuitive deep dive. Which frequency do I need? And if you're not familiar with Solfeggio frequencies, it is kind of an ancient music scale that works with our chakras. And it's designed to fill us up again with frequencies that we're missing. We've gotten off balance, we've been distorted, and each frequency has a purpose to it. So I used 528, which is the transformation, the DNA repair, the miracle frequency. And I meditated for an hour with that Solfeggio and was working on things from an energetic level with my matrix, my DNA, my design, and clearing out things there, whatever would come up. And I felt more balanced after that meditation, but I still wasn't my normal, perky, optimistic self. Another thing I did was I shut down social media for the day and rarely checked my emails. So I've noticed that social media, our nervous system doesn't like it. It's overstimulating. It's triggering our survival fear-based responses when you keep reading over and over all this fear about the economy, politics, justice, food shortages, tariffs. It puts that brain into this fear-based state, and it will hijack these other pieces of your brain, and fear will be the dominant emotion. And your body just really doesn't like that. So shut down the social media, did a social media detox. And I was also very cognizant of what media that I'm taking in. And by that, if I was going to watch TV, I'm not going to watch a program that has a lot of violence or is going to stimulate fear. Again, we're trying to soothe that piece of the brain, the emotional piece and the survival piece that tells me that I'm not going to be okay. Or no matter what I do, it's pointless, this depressive aspect. We need to switch the nervous system out of that. So I did deep breathing. I did watch a movie because my brain and body and spirit at that point was seeking comfort. Now, we have to be a little bit careful here. If you have a tendency to overeat or to emotionally eat, and I've certainly been there in my past, I knew I was craving in that moment pizza But I live way out in the country. So pizza, ice cream, all these junk food things, they're not readily available to me. And I would have to drive 1 to 2 hours to get access to those things. I'm lazy and I don't want to do that. I'll just be honest with you. I would have to want it spectacularly bad to drive 1 to 2 hours for a slice of pizza. So I wasn't going to do that. Luckily, I was able to put a leash on that aspect that was trying to push me into these default patterns of comfort seeking. So number one, that lets you know my brain is wanting some dopamine. It's wanting something that is going to make me feel safe, comfortable, and happy. And that's dopamine and serotonin. So what I did do was try to connect with some soothing feeling from childhood. So I put a movie on that's very gentle. It was a movie called Space Cadet. Why? Because I love space and I love astronomy and astrology and all of these things. And it didn't have any violence in it. It didn't have any harsh language. It was really designed to make you feel good that your goals and your dreams matter. And there's more than one way to accomplish that. It was a very feel good movie. And I did that and I felt better. But I'm going to be honest here. There was a piece of me that was just looking forward to the day being over. I did manage to eat good food, no junk food. I don't really have any junk food in the house, but I did go to bed early and read a book for pleasure, kind of a fantasy escapism. And that was my day. I did all of these different things, and I would love to be able to tell you that this is the thing that switched my brain immediately over. And there are a lot of days where that is true. But there are some days in life that your brain is so resistant to improvement and switching that we just have to give your brain, body, and spirit what it needs in the moment, which is a space of safety, comfort, and happiness. And hold on to that hope that one day is not going to be every day. I'm happy to report that I woke up the next day back to my usual self. I felt more creative. My creative process and ideas, it started to flow again. I was optimistic again. I was starting to looking forward again to my normal life. And I had left behind that feeling of it's all pointless. What's the purpose? What am I even here for? That was gone. But it was tenacious, my friends. So if you're finding yourself in a moment, in a day, or in a pattern where that is your feeling, where you might be a bit depressed, apathetic, hopeless, it doesn't have to last forever if you believe it won't. Because your decision to switch it, the actions you take to switch it, and the mindset that it can be switched, all of these things are critical to do the actual switching. But when you know yourself so well that you can pinpoint immediately something has disturbed your peace, don't let that linger. Get on that in whatever way makes the best sense for you, because your peace is priceless. Your health is your wealth, and that includes your mental health. Taking care of that in any way that resonates to you, that feels good to you, is something that's worthwhile pursuing. Self-care isn't selfish. It's actually necessary. And it's necessary to reset these pieces of your brain that are trying to tell you that you're unsafe, or that you're not good enough, or that whatever you do doesn't matter, because that's not true. I personally believe you matter. There's something you're doing or dreaming about right now that is going to help the entire collective. And my passion, my hope for you is that you can do this brain switching. You can do this calming of your nervous system to bring back your hope, your faith, your optimism, so you go do the very thing that's going to make our lives better, and your life too. If I can help you in some small measure of that, please reach out. I do a complimentary consultation call, and you can learn how to switch brains. You can get my advice on the woo-woo, the psychological, the neurological. And my hope for you is I want you to feel better in whatever capacity that means for you, because your life is precious. So let's go out and do some amazing things with it. If you find yourself in the midst of a very bad, awful day, know that it can be bailed out. I hear you. I sit with you. I have space for you. I have so much compassion for you, but I know that you can switch it. I believe in you. Until next week, my friends, goodbye.